Seattle Public Schools yesterday kicked off what the Washington Education Association is calling the Black Lives Matter at School Week of Action. However, my next guest writes that this looks like a case of political indoctrination. Quote, a deeper dive into the curriculum that Seattle schools will teach shows the intent is clear. It's to forward a leftist political agenda. The lessons present BLM and good and police as evil. So they present BLM as good and police as evil. Jason Rantz joins me now, KTTH, Seattle radio talk show host. So, Jason, what went wrong with the intentions of this?
Oh, I don't think anything went wrong. I think that was the intention. This is curriculum that, to be clear, doesn't just impact Seattle. This is happening all across the country this week in schools. It teaches students explicitly how to become progressive social justice activists. It forwards a number of anti-police narratives, including that police purposefully target African Americans with the intent to kill, that they choose not to de-escalate, that they are quick to use force because of their training. This is curriculum that says any jail or immigration law is state violence. And it doesn't just stop on policing and issues of diversity. It specifically says that it's going after the family structure. It teaches kids as young as kindergartners that they should be choosing their own gender. And I think my favorite line from some of the curriculum that was put out there was, treating everyone the same might be unintentionally oppressive. So this is the kind of stuff that right now is being taught to children all across the country, but of course, especially here in Seattle.
Was there anything about we're in it together, we're all Americans? I'm just curious.
No.
After
No,
everything
of course
that we've
not.
been through since May 25th, I'm curious if that language was there.
It should be there, but unfortunately it is not. And what's worse is, by design, at least in the Seattle Public School District, they are not presenting alternative opinions to the Black Lives Matter political talking points. They basically argue in their strategic plan, and this was something that was sent to me yesterday by a spokesperson with SPS, saying the predominant viewpoint for the past several decades has been the quote-unquote alternative view, and that's led to institutionalized racism, so it's not being presented. And by the way, teachers are allowed to give out their opinions in the classroom. All they have to do is make sure that they label it as such. And so what I've been telling people to do is make sure as your kids are there, make sure as a parent you're just monitoring. I mean, for the most part, we're talking about remote learning, so you're able to monitor and have deeper conversations with your students about what's going on.
An Oregon measure is decriminalizing possession of hard drugs like cocaine and heroin, which went into effect yesterday. So I want to ask you about this, Jason. The executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance celebrated that, saying, quote, the first domino of our cruel and an inhumane war on drugs has fallen. This law is meant to protect people against persecution, harassment, criminalization at the hands of the state for using drugs, and instead given access to the supports that they need. Real quickly, how is that going over?
It's not going to go over well. We've already seen in the Pacific Northwest, for the most part, effectively legalizing hard drugs. For personal possession, for the most part, you're not getting popped and you're certainly not getting charged. And what we've seen is drug dealers take advantage of this. When they know you're not going to get arrested or charged for low-level crimes, they simply carry less product and they just resupply throughout the day. We've seen, talk to any police officer in the area, they'll tell you that. And so they're continuing to flood the market with these drugs, including fentanyl-laced drugs, which in Oregon last year, I believe it was May into April, April into May, a 70% increase in drug overdoses. This is dangerous. This is not about criminalizing people who are drug users. It's about getting them help, and this doesn't do it.
You know, it really does boggle the mind how you can be doing one thing, but you say you want to help those who are addicted. Yeah. And we know how vicious that road has been, particularly during the pandemic, when depression is up, suicides are up, people are looking for something. Jason Rantz, thank you. Good to see you from Seattle.